Hi, we are back and we are talking about Dada. So, the Dada movement is the beginning of a lot of our conversation about modern art and the question of what is art. And the Dadaists tried to make a point that art is chance, it's an accident. Again, it's part of that reaction to World War I and that search for meaning. What does it mean? What does art mean? Are all things art? How do we feel about that? The Dada movement in theater also gave way to a form called theater of the absurd, which again tries to make a point that it's it's all chaos, it's all absurd, and what's the point is kind of their belief. This is a piece uh, by Duchamp called The Bicycle Wheel. It's from 1963, and he's one of our Dada artists. This one is also a Duchamp. This is an earlier one. This is from 1917, and this is a piece known as The Fountain. And it is a pretty controversial piece for many people. Um, he found this urinal and he signed it with a different name and dated it and said it's art. And people were like, no, it's not, it's a urinal. And it's like, well, but it's a urinal in a different location and a different configuration than you see it uh, in regular life. And so therefore it's art. And I don't know, it opens up some interesting conversations, but it's part of that Dada style of art. Surrealism. Surrealism is strongly influenced by Freud and the discussions about our inner being. Surrealism looks a lot at our life of dreams and how dreams communicate how we feel, how we believe, what we think. And probably one of the best known surrealist painters was Salvador Dali. He did quite a few works of art. This one is one of his more famous, The Persistence of Time. Some people call it Melting Watches. His works have a very dreamlike quality. They are not non-objective, right? We've got objects, we have a sense of what this landscape is, what the scene is. We have some strange optical illusions, and it's got a very dreamlike quality. In dreams, anything can happen, and Dali really played with that. This one is, oh, and Persistence of Memory was 1931. This is one from 1969 called Hallucinogenic Toreador. Dali plays a lot with optical illusions and with layering ideas, which is also seen as part of that dreamlike quality, that in a dream something can transform from one thing into another. So as you can see here, these Venus images, um, the Venus de Milo without the arms, it's also a face. And, there's that repetition. And with Dali paintings, there's so much going on. You can really look at them for quite some time. And so this is in the realm of surrealism. And this is another one of his surrealist art pieces. This is Galata of the Spheres. He painted his wife a lot, and here she is done in all spheres. And again, it captures that kind of dreamlike, weird quality, that it's an image, but it's not. Another famous surrealist painter, Rene Magritte. This is one of his pieces in English. The text at the bottom would say this is not a pipe. And again, it brings out the questions of Is it? I mean, it's not. It's a painting of a pipe, but where do we draw those lines? Again, opening up some interesting conversations. Another one of his famous works, Son of Man. He's got a lot of these men with the bowler caps. So This Is Not a Pipe is from 1925, and Son of Man is from 1946. Magritte's surrealist art tends to be a little bit lighter and a little more fun than Dali's. This is a piece by Moreau, 1946. It's kind of interesting because stylistically, I see Moreau and Kandinsky as being very similar. And from a visual standpoint, if I were the one doing the categorizing, I would put those two in the same category. However, Kandinsky's work is seen as non-objective. It is not supposed to be anything. It is just shapes and lines and forms. Whereas this one, this is actually a piece called Melancholic Singer, and it is supposed to express the emotions and the feelings of singing, of a singer. It is an object, but it's much more surreal and distorted and strange. This is another Miro. This is Figure, Dog, Birds, 1946. Again, very surreal. It's reality, but it's twisted and warped and changed in a dreamlike quality. Photography becomes popular at this time as an art form. And with photography, there's a lot of conversations of, is it art? Is it just, a way of capturing reality? And a lot of artists embraced photography. Many of the surrealist artists really appreciated photography and how you could layer things and manipulate what was happening in the visual real world into a more dreamlike quality. And so this is a piece by Man Ray, and it is known as Solarized Nude, from 1937. And it's, it is a photograph, but it's a manipulated photograph to convey that sort of dreamlike quality. Man Ray did some pretty amazing works. But also, even in capturing what we see and not manipulating it much, there was some manipulation here just in terms of enhancing some of the highlights and the shadows. But this is the Grand Tetons in Snake River by Ansel Adams. And you can see that photography is becoming an art form. Even documentary photography is rising to the ranks of art form in this period and as part of the modernist movement. So that's some of our art. Let's take a look at a couple of architecture examples. This is architecture from the Bauhaus movement, which was a school started by Walter Gropius. It was actually an art school initially, and it branched into architecture. Bauhaus is this building is from about 1919 to 1933. Bauhaus itself means construction house, and it is very much about utility and centered around an artistic version of form following function. That it's very rectilinear, it's very cement and steel based, it's very practical, it serves its purpose, It has its own kind of elegance, but it's a new and different kind of elegance. There's not a lot of frosting and ornamentation for the sake of ornamentation. It is very utilitarian. It is seen as industrial and machine-like. It is very, very practical. And this Bauhaus movement also becomes known as the international style, and it becomes very, very popular, especially for buildings, dormitories, skyscrapers, etc. Again, because it is very practical. Steel, glass, cement, it works well. And this style, this is the dormitories at the Bauhaus School, again from about the late 20s to 1935 or so for the construction. Very practical. Rooms with little balconies and windows, and it works. And it's very straightforward, and again, embraced. There is an elegance to this. There is a style to it. And again, a lot of our current architecture has the same sort of style. It's sort of a throwback to Bauhaus. Here we have Frank Lloyd Wright, who is the first architect that created a style that is uniquely American. He takes some of those same ideas that Gropius was using and sort of changes things. Again, very rectilinear, very functional, but elegant as well. And he tried to marry the architecture to the environment as much as possible. He loved doing cantilevers. He loved having unsupported roofs and balconies that hung over, and really kind of started this indoor-outdoor perception of homes, and is the father of the craftsman style as well. Practical, clean, elegant, but stylish as well. And he likes to incorporate some plant life, etc. into this. So this is the Roby House, built between 1909 and 1910. It's near Hyde Park, Chicago, and it's known as the Prairie School style. He, as part of the designs for the architecture, he included the interior design, including these stained glass windows, which we see a lot in craftsman style homes, use of wood and paint and clean lines to be very elegant. This is one of his more famous works called Falling Water, built in 1935 in Pennsylvania, built as a summer getaway home for a family. The architecture, very practical, very rectilinear, but also married into the landscape. This one to the point that it's built over the river. The river runs through the house, and the river is incorporated into the architecture as part of the overall feeling of the space. Here's another view of Falling Water House, and you can see the waterfall coming from below. And with that, we end modern art and architecture. And yeah, I think that's all. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.